Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Thursday edition of Touch 'Em All. My name is Dalton Brown at Dalton J Brown on Twitter. I am here with BC. He can be found at BC underscore Houston1 on Twitter. Two of us have been pretty hot so far. Last little while on our picks, having a good week here. So excited to dive into today's slate and continue running through some games with everybody. As always, as always, want to take a minute to talk a little bit about Sports Map Elite. Platform's $19.99 a month. Really talented people over there giving out picks. And, three of us between myself, BC, and Joe Spano have all been cashing a lot of tickets on MLB. The vast majority of those can only be found on Sports Map Elite. So if you've been subscribed, you can certainly attest to the fact that you've probably been making a lot of money with it. Ton of good content coming with football season coming up too, basketball after that. Michael Avalon's been doing a great job on UFC. So, really excited about where the whole team's headed right now. And, appreciate anybody for checking it out. And feel free to reach out to BC or I if you have any questions about subscribing or about the site, and we'll help you get started. But without further ado, we'll dive into the games for today. First one that I'm showing on the list is 955 Braves at 956 Nationals from Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. Braves pretty big favorites there. I don't have an official play here, but I get the sense you might, BC, so I'll let you go ahead and start off there.
Yeah, what's up, Dalton? Good jumping back on with you. Great job on your Tuesday and your Wednesday show. Nice recovery from both of us. We did not have a good Monday, but all three of us actually, you, myself, and Joe, were profitable on Tuesday and Wednesday. So it feels good to be back in the black, or green as it were. All right, so yes, Anibal Sanchez. Haven't seen that dude in a long time. He's my age. Okay, probably shouldn't be in the show anymore. And Nats are getting pretty desperate right now if they're bringing this guy in. They just got swept by the Bravos in Atlanta. Then they dropped 6 straight. They're running Joseph Odon out there, which is always good for our bankroll. Sanchez hadn't been in the league since 2020, or have not pitched in the big since 2020, and even then, his full season he carried a near 7 ERA. His Savant page is atrocious. Pardon me, I can't speak today. I don't see how he gets past the 5th with the way this Braves team is hitting. He's backed up by one of the worst bullpens in the league, and there was a lot of usage last night in their failed attempt to beat the Mariners, who are on a hell of a run right now. That was a small ball game. Kyle Wright, on the other hand, has been solid, especially on the road. He's carrying a 2.75 ERA, 3.05 FIP, 3.41 expected, and his bullpen is second or third best in the majors in most metrics, depending on which week of the season it is. Braves are still crushing righties as well. Nationals at home against righties, least productive in WRC runs weighted created in the entire league. So this to me is a smash spot for Atlanta. I'm all over the Braves run line, and I like the team total as well.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think if you put a gun in my head and make me play the game, I think I'd play exactly what you're playing. The only thing keeping me off of it is just with Anibal Sanchez. He's a guy that I think of as just being this crafty vet that, I just wouldn't be that shocked to see him come out of the gate and go 6 innings, 1 run, spread some hits around. The stuff isn't great, but he just kind of finds a way. I don't think it's the most likely scenario. I think, Atlanta's a big favorite for a reason. It makes sense to me that they're a big favorite here. I just kind of want to see Sanchez once or twice before I start fading him. And if I miss the boat by doing that, I guess I'll have to live with it. But certainly big bullpen advantage for Atlanta here, not only in terms of ability, but also in terms of freshness. Washington coming off a doubleheader yesterday does not bode well for them. Washington's also lost, I think it's now 12 of their last 13 games. They're just playing horrible baseball. And, you look at how these teams perform against righties. They're both facing a righty today. Atlanta 7th since June 15th. Washington 23rd in that split WRC+. The other thing that kind of keeps me off Atlanta here, at least for now, Kyle Wright just saw Washington, like his last start. He did go 7, but he allowed 8 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned. So they had some traffic against him. Pretty good start overall. But, they did just see him. So I don't know. I mean, I think definitely, Kyle Wright and the Braves are the right side to lean toward, but I'm just not quite there yet. I don't know.
A bit of a psychology thing as well. I mean, you could tell they were really trying to win that game last night. They really wanted to knock the Mariners off their perch, and they threw just about every damn good arm they had at them, and they still ended up, just missing. So a psychology thing as well. I think Wright overwhelms them today, and then, if even if Sanchez goes out there and has a good outing, I mean, you can't stop the Braves from tearing up that bullpen like everyone else has. So I'm feeling good about it. Price is right, minus 135. So that'll be one of the bigger plays of all tonight.
Sounds good. All right, on to the next game. We've got number 957, 958. That's the LA Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. Man, this has been a really fun series to watch. Cardinals jumped out to a 6-1 lead in the first game of it. Dodgers almost came back and ended up losing 7-6 to St. Louis. Last night, Cardinals were up 6-0 heading into the seventh inning. Dodgers storm all the way back, win the game 7-6. That's a St. Louis bullpen that was number 1 in the league in the month of July going into the series and has since fallen, I think, down to maybe number 8 or 10. So, I guess competition that you play matters quite a bit. But it's tonight should be another fun one. Tyler Anderson and Dakota Hudson on the mound. Dodgers minus 150 favorites, over under 9. I do have a pick here, so I'll go ahead and dive in first if you don't mind on this one.
Fire away. I've probably got your back on this one too.
Cool. Yeah. So, obviously with Tyler Anderson, he's been really steady this season. He hasn't quite been like a star, but he's been solidly above average on a pretty consistent basis. Couple rocky starts here and there, but most of the time he'll give them 5 or 6 innings, allow somewhere between 1 and 3 runs. That being said, a few of the spots where he struggles are when he runs into teams like the Chicago White Sox that stack good right-handed hitters and can hit lefties well. St. Louis fits that bill for me 100%. You look at the way Arenado's been hitting, the way Goldschmidt's been hitting. They have a lot of switch hitters who will go, turn around and bat right-handed against Anderson tonight. I think St. Louis's offense looks pretty good in this series. Obviously they got to Tony Gonsolin yesterday. Nobody's done that all year. Game before that, they were hitting some pitches off their shins to the wall off Mitch White. Not that Mitch White is some sort of star, but I thought he pitched a little better than the results he got. And I think the reason for it is because St. Louis's offense is pretty locked in. Right. So I like this spot for them today. You look at their overall numbers against lefties, 114 WRC plus since June 15th, 118 for the season long. That's 5th best in baseball. Obviously the Dodgers are playing really good ball. Dodgers have won 12 of their last 14, 17 of their last 22. Their offense is clicking. They get to face Dakota Hudson tonight. Hudson's got an even 4 ERA this year. His expected ERA per Baseball Savant's 5.25. He's got a really ugly Baseball Savant page. I've talked a lot this season about negative regression that's been coming this way. We've started to see that over the last month or so. And this is just a horrible spot for him. He has a 74th percentile barrel rate, which I just don't think is sustainable because if you look at everything else that he does, he gives up a lot of hard contact, doesn't throw enough strikes, doesn't strike anybody out. Dodgers are second in baseball with a 129 WRC plus since June 15th, and it's not really a secret to any of our listeners that they smash righties and have for a few years. Also, both of these bullpens have had a ton of work the last 2 days. St. Louis is without their closer, presumably Giovanni Gallegos tonight. He threw about 18 pitches on Tuesday, well over 20 pitches yesterday in the blown save. So to me, this is one where you got 2 beat-up bullpens, 2 starting pitchers in a rough spot. I like over 9 quite a bit.
Yeah, I was. That was my first thought looking at this, just the way the offense has been going. I mean, this has been a fun series to watch. I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I rarely improve on anything that you have to say about the Dodgers because that's your team after all. But it kind of feels like with those wins they scratched out, it's probably a start of another big winning streak they have coming up, or at least that's been the trend so far this season for LA. I focused a lot on Dakota Hudson. He's a contact guy, fastball sinker guy. He's inducing roughly 60% ground balls. And he doesn't really have a knockout pitch. He doesn't have a big, slider or big curve or a dirty slider or anything like that. So he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but he does walk a lot of guys, about 4.5 bases on ball per 9. You mentioned his peripherals, his expected batting average over 300, expected ERA 5.24 versus even 4 that he's pitching right now. I mean, the guy is right for regression. And the Dodgers team, they hit the way they are. I mean, they get you with clutch hitting. They get you with extra bases. They don't necessarily put the ball over the wall all the time, which works out well against a guy who relies on ground ball contact. They put the bat to ball as well as anyone else in the league. So I think this is a good opportunity for them really to jump all over Dakota Hudson. And then after that, once that offense starts going, I mean, runs just don't seem to stop till it's the end of the game. Fun little fact on his Dakota Hudson Savant page. This is what kind of helped me put an extra unit on it. But they do that versus compare, and they tell you who in the league they're most closely comparison to comp to. And Dakota Hudson came up with Herman Marquez and, wait for it, Dallas Keuchel. Ouch. Yeah, I like the Dodgers run line today, and I'm also going to be on their team total over. And I will be on the game over on your recommendation as well.
Yeah, I think Dodgers team total over is a really good way to look at it. Also, I think one of the things you touched on with Dakota Hudson is that he walks quite a few hitters. The Dodgers are really good at when you get guys even who don't walk a lot of hitters. You think somebody like an Adam Wainwright, right? Mm-hmm. Max Muncy walked against him 3 times last night. Obviously it's been a thing. The Dodgers and Astros both are teams that are really good at seeing pitches, forcing guys up their pitch count, and getting a lot of walks. So if you're not throwing strikes against the Dodgers, they're not going to sit there and hack away and let you get away with it either. So I think that works in their favor as well.
What did you get that over at on that game?
I got over 9. I took it last night. It came in around -104. Still 9 today. It looks like it's a little further juice to the over today.
Yeah, it's just pretty good. I'm just going to go 1 unit. I missed all the value, but the number didn't go up, so I'll still play it. Excuse me.
I mean, I think it'll get there, but
yeah, that's probably fine. I mean, if for some reason Hudson, if they take a couple times to go through the order before they figure Hudson out, I think an in game is also pretty appropriate. Maybe get that down to 8.5, 8 even.
Especially with the beat up bullpens. I agree.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be looking pretty hard at that. And I know you and I are both going to be watching the game. I'll probably shoot you a text, or you can shoot me a text and be like, "Hey, go ahead and throw it down."
Yeah. Sounds good. So next game we've got here, 959 New York Mets at 960 Chicago Cubs. Mets, smallish favorites on the road here at Wrigley, over under 7.5. Carlos Carrasco, Keegan Thompson on the mound. What do you got over here?
Sorry, just making a note on the Sports Map Elite page. Look for that in-game. Lost my space. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah. Mets and Cubs. Cubbies, man. Whew, some hard luck losers lately. They're on a 6-game slide right now, and I've watched about half of those games to all 9 innings. They've been in pretty much every game except for Baltimore. They got curb stomped by Baltimore last night, 7-1. That was easy money on the Orioles. I think you and I both cashed in on that one. But it's been tough going for the Cubbies. Cookie Carrasco, so probably not going to get much better for them. His numbers, he's got better peripherals than what he's actually getting. He's been pretty unlucky on his contact. He's done a good job keeping the ball in the yard. He's been doing a great job limiting base on balls, especially when we look at his career numbers. And his whiff and his chase rate are best in his career numbers, a best mark. And the Cubbies do strike out, I think, 5th or 6th best in the league, depending on which side of the hill the pitcher is coming from. I mean, they're pretty free swinging, and they do get sat frequently. On Carrasco's home versus road splits, I mean, it kind of makes you pause a little bit. But this Cubs team they've been in the games, but they've also been pretty ice cold. They're only averaging like 210, I think. 3.5 runs is what they came up with so far in the month of July on average, and that's just not going to get it done, not against this Mets offense at least. So I think that Carrasco probably keeps the Cubs bats in check early. But I'm looking forward to watching Keegan Thompson. If you look at his numbers from last year to this year, I mean, he's really improved a lot. His Savant page looks very nice. He's actually pitching slightly better than his expected 3.5 ERA, expected 3.10 WOBA, expected batting average 230, all pretty nice marks. He's got a really strong fastball, big curveball, which is a knockout pitch. So with that type of pitcher, the third time through the order, the batters usually start catching up to the high stinky cheese, or he does hang that curveball. So he gives up a little more hard contact than what you'd like. Gets barreled about 8% of the time. I still think that he's probably going to be able to keep the Mets down at least for, I would say, the first 5. And that's kind of what I'm banking on here too. The wind's not going to be a factor. I think it's going to be like 6 to 8 miles per hour blowing in. I think both starters have a good day. I really do. I'm going first 5 under 4. And then you just can't count on this Cubs bullpen to keep it together. They just keep blowing game after game after game. Mets money line -120. That's pretty palatable. So I'm not decided on it yet, but I'm probably going to make a small play on the Mets.
Okay. Yeah. I think the under is an interesting thought there. I think obviously the Carrasco road numbers scare me quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
That ERA over 6 on the road, 297 batting average against away from Citi Field. Certainly concerning to me, but I think he's been pretty solid in his 2 starts in July, 11 1/3, 3 earned runs allowed. He has about 13 hits in those two starts, but I think my first glance here had me wanting to bet the Cubs actually, just because I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Keegan Thompson. I watched his last start against the Dodgers, and he did really well against the Dodgers in that game. And he's given them 2 really good starts in a row against tough lineups. He also faced the Red Sox recently and pitched really well against them as well. I think he's one of the league's more underrated starting pitchers. Problem is just the way the Cubs are going right now. I don't want to bet them.
Can't do it.
And I know it sounds, kind of square in a way to say that, to be like, oh, I don't want to bet a bad team, whatever. But it's more about their recent form. They're just falling apart late in games. They were blowing leads all weekend in the Dodgers series. The Orioles came in and basically just took games from them when they wanted to late. If you do want to back the Cubs, I would only look at it in the first games. But even so, I don't know. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of reason to trust them. I will say, you look at stats against righties. Cubs have been better than the Mets recently. 12th against 20th in terms of WRC plus since mid-June. Mets bullpen's been a little bit better in July than the Cubs bullpen. But it's just a team that's finding ways to lose. So I found myself leaning on the Cubs against a team as good as the Mets. I'd like to get a lot better than plus 114 to bet them. So it's a stay away from me.
I mean, you're getting pretty good value at the first 5. I mean, Thompson's plus 110. You can get the half run for -120. If it does stay down as I predicted, then that's pretty decent value right there. If you're just interested in backing Thompson and not the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean it's something to think about. That's the only way I look at it.
No, gosh, I think you're right. I don't know. I just feel like the Mets, just due to the Cubs, what everyone's been doing to the Cubs for the past 2 weeks, they'll hang around for a minute and then 5th, 6th inning just opens up.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. All right, moving out west now. 961 Milwaukee Brewers, 962 San Francisco Giants. The pitching matchup of the day, honestly, here in San Francisco. Corbin Burns and Carlos Rodon going at it. Game's been floating around -110 each side. Over-under as of last night was at a minuscule 6. That's moved up to 6.5.
Opened up at a freaking 6.
Yeah.
I can't say don't think I've seen that so far this year.
Yeah. I shouldn't say open because I don't know that for sure. But when I opened it last night, it was 6. Yeah.
Yeah, it opened at 6. I saw it last night.
Yeah. So, goes without saying, not a ton of runs expected here, and I think there are a lot of factors that justify that. Obviously, the San Francisco air. On a late night out there, not a great hitting environment. Obviously, Carlos Rodon has been on fire. This is a guy with a 1.25 ERA in June. Threw a complete game his last start against the Padres. You look at his last 50 innings of work, which is the last 8 starts. That's a 1.80 ERA, 4-1 record. His baseball savant page is phenomenal. The thing that I think scares me a little bit with him, Milwaukee 10th in baseball with a 120 WRC plus against lefties since June 15th. They've been hitting lefties pretty okay. I think Milwaukee's probably the better team here. Maybe not by a lot, but I do give them a little bit of an edge. On the flip side, San Francisco 19th in baseball, a little bit below average against righties since June 15th. Corbin Burns is doing what Corbin Burns does. He actually faced San Francisco back in April. He threw, pitched into the 7th inning, 6 2/3 shutout innings against them. He's been really good in July, 13 innings, 1 earned run. He's really only had one bad start this year, and it was the second time he faced San Diego within 2 weeks. So the way I look at that is, hey, fair enough, right? You're going to have a stinker every once in a while, and that's a spot where it makes sense. Milwaukee's also got the better bullpen here. San Francisco's bullpen has been horrible for the last month and a half to 2 months. It's been a mess. Milwaukee blew a save yesterday. Hader got crushed a little bit by Minnesota, but I still, to me, I think you've got a starting pitching matchup that's a little bit of a wash, but I like Milwaukee better in the platoon splits against lefties than I like San Fran against righties. I think Milwaukee has the better bullpen, and I think Milwaukee is the slightly more talented team overall. So I lean Milwaukee at -110. It's just a matter of whether I am going to be willing to play that by game time, which we will wait and see.
Hold on, just checking something real quick. Yeah, all right. I saw that 6. Well, I saw the what do you call it, the Rodon and Burns matchup, and I'm like, oh, who's going to come out at 6? It's pretty surprising, all the same. You already touched on, these guys are just untouchable lately, and more so, and they're striking guys out. They're both averaging 11.5 strikeouts per 9. There really isn't much to consider. I mean, you'd like to take the over just based on principle, because it could just go so wrong so fast once your 2 starters go out. And the problem is you don't have any good offenses here. The Brewers' offense has been very vanilla. You mentioned Josh Hader. He's given up 1 run his last 3 or 4. And most of their bullpen, I was just checking, they've seen a lot of action in that 2-game series against the Twins. So while you're probably not going to see Hader either, actually kind of looking at his pitch count. But the Giants are just so inconsistent on offense. They're just so hit and miss. It's impossible to put a mark on them. The only thing we can count on is both aces will shine today against middling offenses. You'd like to play an under 3 first 5. Probably the under 6.5 gets home, so that's maybe my lean. I pulled that 120 WRC versus lefties also. That's the one that jumped out at me for Milwaukee. So I think they have the higher offensive upside here, and they also have the second highest walk rate in that span. So maybe they get a couple of passes off of Rodon, or maybe, I don't know. I will say that I do have a small play on this one. If I were to tell you, actually ask you what to guess what the juice is on the Nerfy, what would your guess be?
So I looked at it. The last I saw,
cheated.
The book I looked at was -175. I've also seen a -205 out there. Obviously, if that were being dealt to me at maybe -150 or -160, I'd do it. But I don't think I can quite get there at that number. What do you think?
Well, the conversion on the -170 gets you about applied odds of 63%. I'm never going to advise anyone to go -170 unless you're getting that kind of number on like Alabama football versus Duke football or something like that. But I think there's actually value in this particular case. If you're telling me that this has a chance of hitting 63% of the time, I'm going to tell you I think it's a much larger chance than that. There's a higher percentage that, even though they're seeing their best 3 hitters on both sides up first, the caliber and the form that both these pitchers are in right now, with the friendly weather that they're pitching in, I think it's a lot higher than that. So when you look at it that standpoint, you're actually getting better value. I put the number probably closer to 80%, which is going to put you 250, 260. You're getting 170 here. So you can find value when you look at it that perspective. That being said, it's a very small play. I'm going to watch the game. Might as well have some action on the first inning. So I'm going with the Nerfy -170. Again, very small play, but I see the value.
Yeah, I certainly like your chances. So next game we've got here is we've got 9-6-3 Kansas City Royals at 9-6-4 Toronto Blue Jays. This is going to be something this weekend. Royals missing 10 players.
Everyone.
I think the secret's out on that.
Yeah.
Blue Jays are a minus 375 home favorite here, as last I saw. Royals popping up around plus 300 on the road. I think I saw an over under about 8.5. But this is I've got some commentary on it in general and kind of how I want to look at the series. I think the way to look at today would be maybe a Toronto team total over.
Mm-hmm.
Around 5.5. They're getting to face Carlos Hernandez, who is just not a major leaguer. He's pitched in the major leagues, but it's never gone well. Toronto hits righties well. Toronto also looks pretty rejuvenated last couple of days with the coaching change and being back at home. So you figure you're looking at Carlos Hernandez on the mound for Kansas City, followed by some AAA relievers. Obviously, no Benintendi, no Whit Merrifield, no Hunter Dozier. It's a really stripped down group they're going up there with. Without diving into the thoughts on getting vaccinated and the note I had written last night was Toronto minus 1.5 up to minus 160. It's nowhere near there. I think it's like minus 200 to get to minus 1.5. So, I can't look at you with a straight face and say that there's value, but I think Toronto on the team total might make some sense. Taking on basically the Omaha Storm Chasers here. So that's really all I have to say here. Kind of more of a vague handicap than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have not some of the bigger offshore books, which I'm forced to use because of where I live. Still don't even have the game up. When I saw it, the first thing I was thinking is like, okay, so team totals, alternate run lines, and series price. But I have yet to get any action on that, so I might need a Venmo you so you can lay some bets for me. Everything you just
don't have it in my book either.
What's that?
I don't have it in my book either yet. I was just looking online at some of the American books.
Yeah. I mean, you need to go to Vegas Insider, someplace like that to take a look at where they're offering it domestically across the country. But I can't imagine they're going to allow you to put down any more than $2,000-$3,000 on a series price, and they're probably going to be capping people left and right on team totals and maybe even alternate run lines as well. So it's just one of those things where, I mean, everything you just said, it's a bunch of AAA arms that are going up. It's a bunch of fill-ins, a bunch of position players who might even take the bump. Toronto's not playing great right now, but this is a perfect get-right spot for them, especially at home. I don't really have anything to add on it because I don't have any numbers in front of me. But everything you just said, and then everything I just mentioned before, I'll say again. Team total, alternate run line, series price if you can find it. And this should be a bloodbath up there in Ontario, or Toronto. Pardon me.
All right, so we've covered that dumpster fire of a game. Next thing I've got here is 9-6-5 Boston Red Sox at 9-6-6 Tampa Bay Rays. This should be a much better ball game. We got major leaguers all over the field. Boston sending Cutter Crawford out to the mound against Drew Rasmussen. Boston plus 110 on the money line. Tampa minus 130. Over under 7.5. I think you and I are actually on opposite sides of this one. I'll let you go ahead and.
Not with any confidence, though. I mean, I haven't posted my Sports Map Elite stuff, thankfully, because there's a couple of games I wanted to toss around with you, but this is one that I might even just pull right off the card. I haven't betted or anything like that. It was going to be half unit at most, but Rasmus, he started the season pretty strong. I think he's hurt though. I really do. His K, he wasn't a very big K guy, but that's gone down drastically. He's not gotten more than 4 innings pitched and some change since June 4th. Savant pays nothing to brag about. Actual versus expected on that ERA is pretty alarming. He's got a 3.10 right now to a 4.39. So that should probably tell you what you need to about if he even goes farther than 4 innings, what's going to happen after that. But I do have faith in the Rays bullpen. It seems like they're able to put together pretty good performances with pieces out. They're going to be missing a few, unfortunately. Cutter Crawford, on the other hand, only 30 innings pitched, fastball cutter. So he's a ground ball guy. I don't have much on him also. I don't think he's going to be in the game very long either. The Red Sox offense is struggling, and the ability of the Rays to piece the game together from the bullpen. I'm still looking at the advantage Tampa. The more I talk about it, I don't really see the value now anymore at minus 125. If you give me something closer to 110, 105, or even, I'd probably go ahead and, put some pizza money down on the Rays. But I don't have too much on this. Red Sox are just such in a bad way right now, and Rasmussen, can't be trusted. What's your take on the game?
Yeah, I actually like Boston in the first 5 innings.
Okay.
I like what I've seen from Cutter Crawford. Actually, he hasn't been going deep because he's been consistently giving them about 5 innings. Looked really good against the Yankees. You look what he's done. He had his first start. Not great, or no, excuse me. First part of the year wasn't great, but you look what he's done. He was first given the chance to start on June 12th. Before then, he'd been only in the bullpen, and since he was given that chance to start, he's had 4 appearances, and 3 of them were starts. One of them was out of the bullpen, but they were all about 5 innings each. So he's thrown 19 and a third since then. He's got a 2.33 ERA in that span, and I think that some of it is that now that he sort of knows that the Red Sox are viewing him as a starter, or at least as a guy who they want to go multiple innings, I think he's getting a lot more comfortable, and he's starting to throw pretty well. You also look what he's done. He's faced Tampa actually a few different times this year out of the bullpen. He's thrown almost a full scoreless game, 8 2/3 scoreless innings against Tampa, so he seems to be pretty comfortable against that lineup. I like the Red Sox in the spot here where they're trying to avoid a 4-game sweep. Especially just knowing kind of Alex Cora's personality as a coach. He's a real fiery motivator type. That I think it's I think they're going to approach this game very sort of militantly. I think Cutter Crawford should throw pretty well here. This is not a Tampa team that kills right-handed pitching by any means. Whereas Boston has been pretty darn good against righties for the most part. Now, Drew Rasmussen hasn't faced Boston yet this year. He's been okay in his 2 July starts so far. He has looked pretty good at Tropicana Field, but I just can't get away from what the Savant metrics say on Rasmussen. It just screams negative regression for him.
Yep.
And, like you said, he doesn't look right. So to me, Boston first 5 innings at plus money, I really like that quite a bit, actually. I'd make this more like a pick 'em in the first 5. I think Cutter Crawford's a little undervalued. So I'll be on the Red Sox in the first 5. I got that at plus 112.
Yeah, just kind of looking at the matchups. Nobody that's starting for this Tampa Bay lineup has done any good against Cutter Crawford except for Yandy Diaz. He's faced him twice, batting .500, so obviously you got him once. And then you've got 4, 5, 6, about 12 appearances from everyone else in the lineup, and only Brett Phillips has even touched him at a 250 batting average. So, he still has enough of that fresh smell on him that he should be able to work Tampa's hitters for at least a couple of innings. Drew Rasmussen, on the other hand, he's gotten hit quite a few times by some of the Boston batters. You got Rafael Devers, who's doing very well against him, Alex Verdugo, who's done very well against him, quite a few appearances because Rasmussen's been around for a minute. So you're right. If there's one way to play this, it's got to be Cutter Crawford. It's got to be Cutter Crawford early because once you get both these starters out, which I think will happen pretty quickly, I really do think it's more of a coin flip. And I lean towards the Rays with a little bit better bullpen. But you're right, Alex Cora, he will do anything to win. I can vouch for that because he was an Astro. I'll probably join you on that one. Red Sox first 5, and for some plus money is always nice.
Sounds good. Alrighty. Next one down, we've got 967 Detroit Tigers and 968 Cleveland Guardians from Progressive Field in Cleveland. The Guardians are just a huge favorite here, minus 230. Tigers plus 190 on the road, over under 8.5. I'm upset. I had an angle that I wanted to get at here that is just not available to me. So I'll let you go ahead and just lead us off here.
God, man, what planet are we that Tristan McKenzie is a minus 240 favorite? I know the Tigers are garbage, but geez. That guy, hold on, let me get my notes up on him real quick. If you look at that guy's frustrating to me. his game log is bipolar.
Yep.
One extreme to the next. 2 weeks ago, he gets shelled by Minnesota, 7 earned runs and 6 innings pitched, 2 home runs. Then he stymies the Yankees the next time out. 7 inning pitch, 1 hit, no home runs, 7 strikeouts. It was freaking bizarre. He's probably going to have some success versus this impotent Tigers lineup. They got the worst WRC versus righties in the league. And he's going to eat some innings too. For better or worse, they leave him out there for a long time. He usually pitches at least 6. So he's going to be an innings eater as well. On the other side, you got Elvin Rodriguez. He's been hit around a little bit lately. Well, I say a little bit. 13.5 ERA, 9.97 FIP against a 5.4 expected FIP. And that was only over 20 innings pitched. So he's gotten blown, out of his last 2 starts. 18 runs earned. Now, granted, that was against New York and Toronto. He did shove versus the Guardians on the 29th of May. I think he was 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, fans 4. And he's backed up by an excellent Tigers bullpen as well. So I don't know how long they're going to leave Rodriguez out there. I mean, they can always rely back on the strong Tigers bullpen. McKenzie's probably going to have a good game, and even if he doesn't, this Tigers lineup doesn't have any power. I don't think they'll be able to take advantage of a poor showing by McKenzie. Because no one's going to confuse the Tigers for the Twins. I got to go with the under. Go ahead and give me the under 8.5.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that at all as a way to look at this game. I think so. Tristan McKenzie, he's really frustrating when you try looking through his game log and you try predicting what's next and next. I completely agree with that. I really wanted to play on him though here. If you look at what he's done against the Tigers specifically, he faced them on May 29th, pitched into the 8th inning, 7 2/3, only allowed 2 earned runs, and he actually faced them twice last year. No surprise, they're obviously in the same division. 13 scoreless innings against them last year. So I think this is a Tigers team that is terrible against righties, and Tristan McKenzie likes to beat up on them. So I don't, I don't really have any interest in certainly backing the Tigers against him. That being said, the number on them is so huge that I could also see an argument if somebody said that you would based on just the bullpen being good. Especially Cleveland's bullpen's been the worst in baseball since July 1st. It's been really scuffling. That ERA, I think it's 7.07 over that span. But Elvin Rodriguez, man, this guy, he got sent back down to AAA Toledo. He's been spending time in beautiful Toledo, Ohio for a little bit here. He has a ERA around 3.5 in Toledo. I guess that's fine. But I mean, his numbers in the majors: 20.1 innings of work, 26 earned runs, 9 homers, and 11 walks. I mean, he just doesn't look ready at all. I mean, he was tipping his pitches against the Yankees famously. There was a whole video made about that.
Yep, I saw that.
So I don't, the line's absurd. I really wanted to play a Cleveland first 5 run line, like the classic, Cleveland first 5 minus half a run, whatever. It's like minus 190 or something. So I'm just not there. So I don't want to be part of it.
Yeah. The only thing I would say to that is I do see McKenzie going deep. I know the Guardians bullpen's trash and they know it as well. And McKenzie regularly goes out there and pitches 6-7. I don't think they might not take him past, to the 8th. And hopefully that isn't the case, but it very well could be. Regardless, I just don't see this getting anywhere near 8.5. I like maybe a 4-5 to 0-1 win.
Yeah. And you know what? Actually, I take it back. I think I do have an angle here. I'm looking at also Kansas City just changed their predictive starter to some guy named Zerpa. So
I didn't catch that again.
It's Kansas City. A different note. They just changed their starter off Carlos Hernandez to some dude named A. Zerpa. I don't know who it is. I'll look into it, but probably an Omaha Storm Chaser. But anyway, yeah. So I actually think I'm looking at Cleveland here. Minus 1.5 comes in at only minus 120. And, the more you talk about it, you're right. McKenzie's going to pitch deep into the game. I don't see how Cleveland doesn't at least put up 4 or 5 runs against Elvin, Rodriguez, and company. Granted, the bullpen's going to be good behind them, but how motivated is Detroit going to be to bring in their best relievers if they're down 4-0 in the sixth? So I think I'm going to make it an official play. Cleveland Guardians -1.5 here. It comes in at -120. Just because McKenzie's killed this team, they don't hit righties well. Detroit is a mess in general. So I'm going to go ahead and make that a move. Cleveland -1.5.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the schedule, and this is the first game of 4 against the Guardians. You're exactly right. They're not going to throw their best arms out there. They still got 3 more games back to back to back to back. That makes perfect sense.
Cool. I like when we get to find a play on air. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Watch that.
All right. Next one down, we've got 969 Chicago White Sox at 970 Minnesota Twins. White Sox +145 underdogs. Twins -160 at home. Over under 8.5. I've got a play here. I know you've got the same play I do. Let me do the honors.
No, go ahead. Why don't you pick up where you left off on Fred Nation when you're just on the radio momentarily at Sports Map Radio. Pardon me.
Yeah, sounds good.
Excellent analysis.
Yeah, just gave this pick out there. Sonny Gray and Johnny Cueto is the matchup. Couple righties on the mound. Minnesota annihilates right-handed pitching. They're third in baseball since June 15th with WRC plus of 125 in that split. Sonny Gray has, the White Sox haven't seen Sonny Gray this season. That works in their favor. Sonny Gray pitched to a sub-2 ERA in both May and June. July hasn't been quite as great, but I'm not super worried about it at this point. His savant stats give him an expected ERA of 3.09 compared to his actual ERA of 3.03. So he's about what we've seen in terms of reality. And I buy into that, having watched a little bit of him this year. He looks pretty sharp. Minnesota's dominating Chicago. They're 5-1 against them this season. There's clearly a lot of motivation there to take the division back from the White Sox, and I think there's a big managerial advantage with Baldelli against Tony La Russa in his current but it's also just the White Sox, they just can't get out of their own way. And I think Johnny Cueto is due for negative regression as much as even like a Dakota Hudson. He's got that real pretty, 2.91 ERA this year, but the expected numbers are well over 4. He just saw Minnesota on the 4th of July. Pitched okay, 2 innings over 6, 2 runs over 6 innings. But, I think this is one where the Tigers, the Twins should be pretty comfortable now seeing him again. He's not going to blow you away with stuff. This is a Twins offense that's really good. I don't really give Johnny Cueto much credit for dominating the Tigers in his last start. I just don't really care. I just kind of talked about why on the last handicap. So I like Twins first 5 innings, laying the half run. That comes in around -115. I would be surprised if they're not leading through 5. I mean, I've had terrible luck recently when I bet on the Twins, but I got to go back to the well today.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm going to fade Johnny Cueto here as well. This definitely looks like the spot, Dalton. It looks like a really favorable situation. Current ERA 2.9 to expected 4.8, 50 ERA ratios, and the indicator he's going to be regressing here pretty soon. And this is a Twins lineup that you said has just been tagging righties, especially this month. 6 and well, but third, I think, in hard hits and barrels. Cueto's done a pretty good job of limiting free passes. That was always his issue in his career back with San Francisco. But the Twins have done a much better job extending counts and getting bases on balls. They've been more patient, showing a lot more discipline at the plate. Home runs have been manageable, but the Twins really don't go yard all that often, especially at Target Field. But still, I think they get after Cueto pretty good here. I think we're going to start getting a better picture of Mr. Cueto and results against competent hitters, especially in a favorable situation like this. And Sonny Gray's numbers have been more respectable since June. His savant page looks pretty good. Red, it's a good thing. He's not been getting the strikeouts, and that's fine because when you look at his batted ball profile, it is excellent. He's getting great soft contact. He's only getting hit hard or barreled up about 5% of the time, and his home runs per 9 is 0.7. So he's doing a great job playing the small game. I like Gray tonight. I think that even if the White Sox do get after him a little bit or do get some better contact, get some better wood on the ball, I think that the Twins are going to go after Cueto pretty quick here. I don't really want to get too far into the back of the game. I'm much more confident in the first 5 results. So I am with you on that. Twins first 5, -0.5, -115. That's going to be one of my bigger plays today.
Awesome. Right on the same page. Next one on here is 971 Seattle Mariners at 972 Texas Rangers. A couple lefties both at it in this one. Mariners with Marco Gonzalez, Rangers with Martin Perez. Just made his first All-Star game, so good for him.
Congratulations.
When I looked last night, this right around a pick 'em. It was Rangers minus 113, Mariners minus 107, over under 8.5. And I had a lean on Seattle at that number when they were minus 107. So now we're looking at Seattle plus 110. If I'm going to play by my own rules and I'm going to lean Seattle at minus 107, I better like him at plus 110. Mariners plus 110 becomes a play for me. In terms of reasons why, number one bullpen in baseball in the month of July for Seattle, 1.27 ERA this month. Texas sitting there at 20th in the league. Seattle's obviously won 10 in a row. They won 2 games yesterday against Washington. I understand the concern for them with the weird travel. You're in Washington playing 2 games. Now you go to Arlington for a game. Bullpen, maybe not in the best shape ever after 2 games yesterday. So I get it. It's not my favorite play I've ever made, but I think Seattle is just playing such good ball right now. I think they're finally realizing their talent and sort of regressing back toward it. Gonzalez, I should also say I lean to an over here. Just the familiarity with starting pitchers, Gonzalez and Perez against divisional foes. Here's the thing with Marco Gonzalez. He's just been really consistent. He has gone over 6 innings in 5 consecutive starts. 2 runs or fewer in 8 straight starts. He has struggled a little bit against Texas this year, but those starts came a lot earlier in the season. So I guess for me, it feels a little more distant. I'm more willing to lean on the more recent sample with him. 4 starts against Texas last year, and 3 of them were pretty good. So he certainly has a lot of experience pitching well against Texas. He's got some experience in that ballpark. Both of these teams are absolutely crushing left-handed pitching. They are number 1 and number 4 in the league, but they're 132 and 140 in WRC plus respectively against lefties since June 15th. So could see a lot of fireworks here, which is part of why I like Seattle, because if the game blows up, Seattle's got the much better bullpen late in the game. So I think I like Seattle's chances of kind of holding on and finding a way. Looking at Martin Perez, obviously he's had a great year. Doesn't really miss a ton of bats. Pretty good contact profile though. Did face Seattle on June 5th, 6 innings, 2 runs. He got crushed by Minnesota, but had looked pretty solid before then. Generally speaking, he is regressing steadily toward that 3.90 expected ERA. He has allowed 4 home runs over his last 2 starts, so I could see Seattle maybe capitalizing there a little bit. Let's just be honest about it. Neither starting pitcher's in a good spot here. They're both taking on a team that crushes lefties. I just think Seattle's got the better bullpen. I think Seattle's got the better lineup. I think they're in better shape. So getting them as an underdog here, not my favorite pick ever, but I think I've got to make it Seattle plus 110.
Yeah, I'm still seeing it at plus 110 as well. I'm a little conflicted here. I mean, Martin Perez has made me, I think you as well, a buttload of money early in this season. He's deserved that all-star spot from his performance in May and June. But lately, it's not been so well. He gave up 2 home runs in 2 of his last starts, which is 2 more home runs than he'd given up the entire season. Add on to the previous start, and he's allowed 12 runs in approximately 18 innings pitched. So, as you said, he's getting figured out. He's starting to gravitate more towards those expected numbers, which are good, but not great, not nearly to the level that he's been performing to date. And the Mariners are streaking. They're streaking good. 10 in a row. I think I heard this morning it was tied for the 2nd or 3rd longest winning streak in the franchise. Marco Gonzalez has been very good. I think he's gotten a quality start in 6 of his last 7. He's given up some long balls, and he's not really striking out a lot of guys. So he gets a ton of contact, doesn't miss a whole lot of bats. That could be dangerous against this Rangers lineup, especially how well they hit. You already touched on the WOBA. I think I tracked it back to 30 days, and they're both top 6, top 2 and 6, or maybe 1 and 5, something like that. Big advantage for the M's in the bullpen, June and July. Rangers bullpen in that same time span was below average. They were in the 20s, give or take. Season series also heads up 4-2 in favor of Seattle. I don't have a play on this game. I mean, I would like to take Seattle, but they're on a 10-game win streak right now. And if I wasn't on the first or second car of that winning train as it was pulling out of the station, I'm not trying to jump on the 10th or 11th car. Usually doesn't work out well. So I missed the money train on that. I mean, I had the Mariners a couple of different times, even the one that we missed on the rain out that I chicken shitted out and didn't play the next day, the flexing start. But like you said, if I did play it, I'd be leaning Rangers actually, but I'm not going anywhere near this game.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. We've got one more game out in the AL West tonight. It is your Houston Astros. They are in Anaheim in Orange County, California, well outside Los Angeles County or the LA metro area down there in Anaheim, way out in the boonies, Big A. Just an awful ballpark. But I digress. Astros decent favorites here, minus 175, Angels plus 155. Money is certainly, it looks like, come in on the Astros overnight. I had the Astros at minus 154 when I handicapped this game last night. It's going to be Framber Valdez and Reed Detmers going at it in that one. I'll let you talk Astros before I dive into this one.
Yeah, it shot up pretty quick, too. The open was at 142, I think. You probably saw it at 150 because it wasn't there very long. We're now currently sitting at minus 180. I guess everyone realizes that Shohei Ohtani is not pitching tonight. And that's really the only time you can back the Angels, as we saw last night. From Valdez, 14 straight quality starts. Road ERA 1.66. Last start versus the Halos, he struck out 13. So this guy has been outstanding on the road. He's been an ace on the road, and he has completely dominated this Anaheim lineup. I was going to say LA. Anaheim lineup. And they just suck. They're just not hitting the ball well. I'm not going to tell you anything nobody already knows. Reed Detmers, we can all officially now stop talking about that no-hitter. It was incredible to see him do it, but that was months ago, and this guy is not that guy. We're all certain of that by now. Savant Page is pretty tragic. His hard hit rate's 41%. He gets barreled up 9.5% of the time. Peripherals versus actual show he could actually get worse this season. He did have a great start versus Baltimore a week ago, and this actually concerns me a bit. When you take a look at his individual matchups versus the Houston hitters, it doesn't look very well. I've kept refreshing the lineup card here to figure out if Litmus Diaz is going to be in the lineup or not. He has had by far the most success against Detmers, but he was out of yesterday's game. I'm not sure why. He played in the first game on Tuesday, and the guy's been easily their hottest hitter right now, which is good because they don't have Yordan Alvarez. He's on the 10-day until after the All-Star break. So that concerns me a little bit. Astros ranked 11th in WOBA against lefties in the past 30 days. Oh, another note on Detmers. The Angels don't give me support. They don't give anybody support but Ohtani. They've lost his last 7 starts. Angels bullpen ranked 26th. Astros are like 11th in the league in WOBA against lefties past 30 days. Angels are 26th. Anaheim bullpen still bottom 10 in pretty much every important metric. Houston is the best bullpen ERA in the majors. Trout's having his semi-traditional midsummer hitting slump. So no Yordan, no problem. Give me the Astros on the bounce back. I like the Astros run line at minus 1.5, and that's going to be a significant bet for myself.
Yeah, I'm on the same side you are. I played him in the first 5, minus half a run. Probably will join you on the run line as well. I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to beat a dead horse on Fromber. You talked about it really effectively how good he's been on the road. One note on the Angels: Mike Trout missed last night's game after getting pulled out 2 nights ago. I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup tonight. I have a feeling he might not be with the All-Star break looming. So you might get a get-out-of-jail-free card too on Trout. We'll see. Angels 29th in the league against lefties since June 15th. WRC plus of 71. Astros number 2 or number 1. No, number 2 in the league. 1.135 WRC at that time. They've already seen Detmers once this year. Now they get another shot at him. Detmers been up and down from AAA Salt Lake. The Angels don't seem to have any idea what they want to do with him. I think they're really stunting the beginning of his career. Kind of a bummer. This guy was a 10th overall pick in 2020. and they seem to just be toying with his career in some kind of strange ways. I think you look at Fromber, you look at Detmers, big advantage for Houston there. The Angels lineup is a joke without Trout. I mean, they had Luis Rengifo batting third last night. I don't regret at all betting Houston on the money line, even if it was against Ohtani last night. It didn't work out, but my goodness, that Angels lineup is pretty rough. And obviously that team's, I think, 12-33 or something, their last 45, 50 games. So, yeah, I mean, I hate to be so simplistic about it, but you're getting a much better team, much better bullpen, much better team against left-handed pitching, better starting pitcher. I mean, just better everywhere. So, yeah, keep it simple. Astros, first 5 minutes out run, Astros full game run line. I'm on board with both of those, but I like it.
13-42 in their last 55.
I mean,
and you know what? You're right. I do have a note on that. Trout was out with back spasms. Pardon me. So that's not a rolled ankle. That's back spasms, and he's worth $1 jillion. And they need him for the second half of the season. If they don't deal him, they can't deal him with back spasms. So I'm feeling pretty confident that you are right. We're probably not going to see him until after the break.
Sounds good. All right.
Finish her up.
Last game we've got here, topsy-turvy series so far between the Reds and the Yankees. Final game of it here, 9-7-5 Cincinnati Reds, 9-7-6 New York Yankees. Those Reds have been
fun
all over baseball.
Yeah.
They messed around and handled the Rays last weekend at home. Now they've been causing the Yankees all sorts of problems in New York. Yankees, of course, pulled it out last night. I got a nice little live in-game bet on that one on the Yankees. They were down 2-0 and 4-0. But tonight, Luis Castillo, the prize trade piece for the Reds, takes the mound against Nestor Cortez. A couple pitchers heading in opposite directions here. Luis Castillo, 2.92 ERA. Cortez, 2.74. Yankees minus 200 favorites. Reds plus 175 on the road, over under 8. From a pure value perspective, Cincinnati is the side to take. That does not mean I am necessarily eager to bet Cincinnati. The New York Yankees destroy right-handed pitching they have all year. Luis Castillo sometimes does not exhibit the ability to pitch consistently, and that Cincinnati bullpen is terrible. The more you get in this game, the bigger the advantage gets for the Yankees. That being said, looking at just the starters, Castillo, his last 3 starts, 20 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. That includes starts against Tampa Bay and Atlanta. He had been a little bit shaky by his standard before then, but I think a lot of this is just him getting back from injury, getting more comfortable. He is quite a good starting pitcher when he's healthy, when he's going good. But we saw how bad Cincinnati's bullpen is behind him last night. Unless he goes 7 or 8 innings, they're going to have a hard time keeping the Yankees offense down for the full 9. Nestor Cortez, though, really not very good recently. He's a guy who early in the season I was jumping all over him. He was dominating everybody. He has fallen off a cliff. Since June 8th, 5.65 ERA for him. So pretty rough. The only thing that I think kind of doesn't make me want to fade him, you look at who he's faced since June 8th. I'll read off the teams to you. Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Houston, Cleveland, Boston. So you look at that and you go, okay, well, who's the only team in there that he should dominate? Cleveland. Well, he did dominate Cleveland. He pitched really well against them in that game. That's his only start that he's really seen success over that span. And this is a Reds team that doesn't hit lefties terribly well. I mean, they're not bad, but I don't think of them as necessarily like a world-beating team of any kind. So, look, I think starting pitching directionally right now, you've got an advantage for Cincinnati in terms of the direction the 2 starters are going. Cincinnati has looked competitive over the last week or so. But the Yankees are just really good against righties, really good bullpen, tough at home. So it's a pure stay away from me, but if you are going to bet the team on the money line, I would look at the Reds.
That is sound advice, but unfortunately, I will not be taking it. Props to us, by the way. Nice little 190 money line cash. I know we were chatting it up on Twitter with Miss Busy Lady and Pig Vig. So always fun getting those guys in there. And Dalton will drop the Twitters for you guys after the show. Be sure and tune in. We're often like to chop it up on there and talk about fun in-game bets and cry about our losers. So we're good follows, I promise. If you like baseball and like to nerd out and bet. Okay, so improbable eighth inning comeback the night before. They took a big old crap all over my 2-unit Yankee run line. I was actually texting with you at that time, so it was a live cry. It's wild to think the Reds could have sank the Yanks back to back, and I don't think it's going to happen tonight. If there's ever a wake-up call that the Yankees need to take the Reds a little more seriously, it's going to be tonight. They need to make an example out of Luis Castillo. He's been very dominant this season, but he has control issues. He's performing better than expected data. His June was outstanding, limited starts, but he went deep in each of those starts, 7 innings. If the Yankees can be patient, exercise their plate discipline, I think they walk fourth most, in Major League Baseball. They can get Castillo's pitch count up, maybe get him to make a few mistakes, get into that terrible Cincinnati bullpen. Nestor Cortez, he's due for some regression. He's been really tough, though, at Yankee Stadium. He's averaging 9.5 strikeouts per 9, 2.71 ERA. He's only given up 3 home runs all season, I think, in that bandbox that Yankee Stadium is. So that's kind of hard to get in front of that in spite of how well the Reds offense is doing right now. I mean, you really wouldn't be able to talk me out of an over in this particular situation. It's just Cortez at home is just – it's tough. I'll need to check their team. If you can check their team total for me, Dalton, I'd appreciate it. If it's 2.5, 3 maybe, I might take a swing on the Reds team total over. But Yankees scored 5 or more in 6 of the last 7. Reds, on the other hand, WRC plus 112 versus lefties. I think that was in the last 30 days. I checked that. Severino, he got yanked before the 3rd inning, so the Yankees did use up some of their bullpen arms. Reds bullpen's awful. Yankees bullpen's still top 3 in spite of being depleted. I think the Castillo keeps the Reds competitive tonight, but I think New York comes back and takes advantage of that awful bullpen. I think Cortez probably stays in for some extra inning work as well to help alleviate some of those arms. I'm leaning over, but my play is going to be the Yankees run line at -1.5, and you can get that at plus money, plus 110. I think it's down to plus 105-ish right now. So that's a play that I'm pretty committed on, but nothing like some of the bigger ones we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I just threw that Reds team total up at 3. That's at 3.5.
3.5. I knew they were going to hook me out of it. I knew it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I believe in Castillo a little more than you do here, but I certainly wish you luck. All right, great. Well, taking a look through the plays that we've got here in total, I've got I've got 7 off the show tonight. One of them I grabbed from you, that Houston run line. I like that to go with the first 5 run line. Also going to be on Minnesota, first 5 minus half run on the run line. Boston, first 5 innings, money line plus 110. I am on the Seattle Mariners, full game plus 110 on the money line. I will be playing the Cleveland Guardians minus 1.5 minus 120. And Dodgers Cardinals, I only naturally play tonight, over 9 runs.
All right, overall my ends. I'm going Braves run line. Braves team total over. I am pretty hefty on those. I think Sanchez goes down in flames tonight. Dodgers run line. Dodgers team total over. Game over 9. Mets at Cubs. First 5 under 4. Brewers at Giants. Give me the Nerfy, but don't put a lot of money on it because that's crazy juice. Minus 170. Still value though. Red Sox. Give me the Red Sox first 5 money line plus 105. Thank you, Dalton, for talking me off that ledge. Guardians run line minus 1.5. Give me the game under 8.5. I'm feeling pretty good about. You and I are both very strong on the Twins first 5 minus a half. The Astros and Angels. I like the Astros run line. Give me the Astros first 5 minus a half. I also like the first 5 under 4. Dalton and I were talking about this off air. I've been noticing that Anaheim games, or sometimes even West Coast games, you see this sometimes out at Petco as well, if they start a few hours earlier than normal, for instance, I think this is like a 5:40 time, you're going to see shadows. You probably noticed it, but never really paid attention to it. I've noticed it since the Astros moved to the American League West and they started seeing the Angels 18 times a season. Those earlier than evening start times, the shadows get thrown across and they move from about midway in between the mound and the plate slowly across to the second base bag. That plays tricks on the hitters. And typically, it's a pretty good advantage for the pitchers. So we've got one really strong pitcher in Valdez versus a mediocre pitcher. And Detmers that the Angels are running out there. Still, it should be a good opportunity for them to have the advantage, at least as far as the visual acuity goes for the hitters. And the Astros have not been getting off to good offensive starts in this whole series. In fact, they don't get off to good offensive starts on the road, period, all season. So I'm going first 5 under 4, and we'll see if one of the angles I've been playing for as long as I can remember pays off tonight. So a little bonus there for you. And then lastly, give me the Yankees run line, -1.5.
Sounds good. All right. Well, good stuff. That'll do it for today. Good set of bets on hand for tonight.
Quick shout out to Javier Rodriguez and John Borger. Appreciate you guys stopping by in the chat, and hopefully we'll catch y'all on Tuesday as well. And good luck with y'all's bets this weekend, John and Javier.
A couple of my good buddies from out in LA. I'll be visiting. I'll be visiting John where he's stationed with the Army next week. So
nice.
Thank you for your service as well, John.
Was that?
I was just thanking John for his service as well.
Thank you for your service, John.
But sounds good. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Let's win some money, and we'll see you maybe sometime next week with the All-Star. We'll see what that looks like. But we'll see you soon regardless. So all the best.